In Chop Goblins, you do not chop any goblins. The name is not a verb, it's a noun. They are goblins that chop, and you must be the one to stop them. The story is that the Chop Goblins are released after you break into the basement of a museum and open a chest for some reason. That is definitely a story. The first weapon you get is a dagger. You can't chop with it. However, it's actually really fun just stabbing things, especially when you stab them in the face. The first type of chop goblins you meet are goblins that chop. They are poo colored, which is very disgusting. If you get close to them, they will attempt to chop you. I'm really struggling to say more about them. They are literally just goblins that chop. You eventually find a priceless abandoned flintlock just sitting in a loading bay. This gun bangs and slangs, whatever that means. It feels so good. You have to be precise with it due to its reload time, so you end up feeling like a 16th century John Wick. Eventually, you move into the museum proper, and this joint is infested with green goblins. These guys are crazy. I remember one time I was walking down the street, and I came across this flock of green goblins absolutely brutalizing this pigeon. It was pretty gruesome stuff. Anyway, the green goblins throw their chopping implements at you. It's fun dealing with them because you are able to dodge the chopping implements in question. Furthermore, you can reflect the projectiles from the chop goblins back at them. Now I know what you are thinking. Wait, doesn't that mean you can chop goblins? No, it does not count. This is reflecting, not chopping. After using a toilet as a weapon, you can proceed to exit the museum and immediately witness an attack on American soil. The chop goblins have escaped the museum and are chopping in the streets. Fortunately, you can find a street sweeper to help you clean them up. It's a very violent weapon. However, its damage does fall off with range, so you still have a reason to go all pirate on them. This area has an absolutely amazing secret area. You can climb onto a roof and find a key. Then if you walk to the edge of the roof, you immediately see the secret area that you can access using the key. Now that's what I call game design. It's amazing because it accurately simulates stealing engine oil from a mechanic so you can drink it. However, there is something even more mysterious right next to this key. For some reason, there is a propane tank on a nearby roof.
Hello?
I have no idea what purpose it even serves. There are no chop goblins near it. Naturally, I just blew it up, because why not? However, I could never have foreseen the future importance of this propane tank. Further down the road, you meet a new enemy type. It's chop goblins, but if they stole a car, they don't chop you at all. Their car just throws you up into the air. This is the game providing commentary on pedestrian hostile civic planning. In the next area, there is a real woman's woman. These goblins just roast your ass, and because their words are hit scan, you cannot dodge them. So you need to cap them quickly. Fortunately, your bullets do stun them. There are some guarding a secret upgrade for your flintlock. It's a speed loader. This is a great upgrade if you enjoy soul-sucking disappointment. The thing still takes an eon to load. Eventually, you find a Resident Evil reference. These allow you to open up a train station earlier in the level and enter a time portal. Naturally, this time portal takes you to Dracula's castle. You immediately find a new weapon, the Impaler. It shoots stakes.
When it comes to great stakes, I've just raised the stakes.
The Impaler is basically this game's 9-inch nail gun. There are no vampires in this game because it's about chop goblins, so it feels incredibly out of place. The castle itself is incredibly scary. I would say it's like having a dream about missing a deadline or forgetting to work on an assignment. That's the level of horror we are talking about here. None of that goof around baby gamer horror, like the controversial rock bottom level in Battle for Bikini Bottom. This level probably has the second best button in the game. It opens a door with a bunch of chop goblins that you can shoot. Killing is fun. There is this fun ambush that occurs when you pick up some health. You get attacked by... Oh come on, what is this? Are you kidding me? That's not a chop goblin. That's a vampire cat. I almost refunded the game at this point. I was infuriated. The game is called Chop Goblins, and yet they put vampire cats in the game. However, I calmed myself and soldiered on. This level is quite open and there are multiple paths that you can take. The objective is to open a path deeper into the castle. The first part of this is flicking a switch in Sen's fortress, while the second part is collecting masks in the basement. This could have been very scary if there were chop goblins down here, but it's just these brain-dead cats. It's ridiculous. If I wanted vampire cats, I would go play vampire cats instead of chop goblins. Once you get the masks and flick the switch, you can head deeper into the castle. And it's Dracula. He is not a chop goblin. He is a vampire. I know I should have seen this coming, seeing that the level is called the Castle of Count Dracula, but it still hurt me. I was really looking forward to fighting more chop goblins. I think it's best we move on to the next level before I get too emotional. Now we're talking. Ancient Greece. This is far more on brand for chop goblins. I love this level. It is so beautiful and reminds me of some of the stuff you would see in Serious Samuel. You immediately get introduced to a new enemy type, Big Choppers. These guys are lethal. They have an incredible amount of health but also deal so much damage. It's very easy to just get instantly obliterated by them if you are not careful. The level is fairly linear. You progress from arena to arena, where chop goblins will try to chop you. This level structure is also very similar to Serious Samuel. There is this absolutely insane room though. If you turn right instead of left at this junction, you will find this circular room that seems to have zero purpose. It just kind of exists, just like we do in our day-to-day life, until our eventual end. Terrifying stuff. You can't actually jump at all in this game. There is no jump button. In order to rectify this, jump pads were constructed by the ancient Greeks in this temple. They are quite helpful in the next arena, allowing you to jump over the lava and shoot some explosive pots. However, there lies a giga jump pad that betrays you. It throws you up into a big Serious Samuel style arena, filled with big choppers. Axes fly everywhere. Your only hope is the A and D keys on your keyboard. Using these, you can avoid standing in the path of an axe and getting chopped by the big choppers who are chop goblins. After they all die of heart attacks because they were juicing, you can solve a puzzle to gain access to the heart of the temple, where the Wand of Corinthians awaits. This stick is incredibly lethal. This is the stick that will bring the chop goblins to their knees. You are suddenly transported to the future, an alternate timeline where the chop goblins chopped and now rule the world. We find ourselves in a city called Choppingrad. It is overrun by hack goblinators. They just throw lightsabers at you. The lightsabers have more of a hacking motion than a chopping motion, so it's very easy to see how technology has corrupted them. This area has the best button in the game. The entire level is filled with massive crowds like that, which allow you to test out your new stick. The stick is also my go-to weapon for the big choppers. It juices them too much and their hearts explode. They still manage to withstand 2 hits from it, which is absolutely insane. This level has a very satisfying room where you just stab a bunch of chop goblins in the head. The room literally serves no other purpose. After traveling through the maze-like corridors, you can flick a switch, which opens a force field from earlier in the level. This leads to a really great room. You just get to spam the stick at a massive horde. However, there are a few big choppers, which can be absolutely terrifying, until their hearts give out. After this, you make your way deeper into the facility and find the Cyber Goblin. All you have to do is hit that. You are victorious, or are you? This is where Chop Goblins really comes into its own. After you beat the game, you unlock Once Again, which is basically a new game plus mode. I thought I might as well give it a go. I also increased the difficulty to the highest for this playthrough. This is where I feel the ideas and themes of Chop Goblins were completely synthesized within my soul. I began to arrive at an understanding. For example, the propane tank in the city level makes sense now. An enemy spawns up there on the highest difficulty. There are also many secrets throughout the game that allow you to access weapons out of order. Eventually, my observations became more than just the physical, more than just what was in front of me. As I played Once Again over and over again, I felt an intense spiritual connection to the Chop Goblins, both the goblins that chop and the game called Chop Goblins. The meaningless circular room took on meaning. It was symbolic of the power of New Game Plus. It was a never-ending cycle, like in Ouroboros, and like in Ouroboros, I too began to eat my own tail. The memories of my first playthroughs were overwritten by the divine sights and sounds of my Once Again playthroughs. I came to love Dracula. Fighting him in each playthrough became something of an emotional homecoming. I came to love the Chop Goblins, because they are goblins that chop. I understood how the hack Goblinators represented the corruption of technology, how the original purpose of the Chop Goblins, which was to chop, was entirely supplanted by hacking, which is not chopping. However, despite all of these revelations, one mystery still remained. In the Steam library art for the game, you can see what appears to be a cornfield, or some kind of forest. This does not appear anywhere in the game to my knowledge. It serves as a constant, dark yet distant reminder that all we know about the goblins is that they chop. We will never know why they chop, just that they chop. Through this realization, you slowly feel your spirit dissolve, and you can no longer tell where your body ends and where Chop Goblins begins. You experience a complete depersonalization. You realize that day by day you just exist, and you don't know why. It's just what you do. Just like how the Chop Goblins are goblins who chop, without knowing why they do it. But the difference is that the Chop Goblins find meaning through this lack of meaning. They are goblins who chop because they have no reason to chop. It is this contradiction that ultimately provides them with their meaning, and it is this same contradiction that ultimately explains the true meaning of human life. There is no meaning to our individual existences, but through this lack of collective meaning, our own existence is justified, through us finding our own reason. Anyway, that's how this $7 game about goblins who chop solved the human condition. I recently hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone. In order to celebrate this milestone, I am going to do two things. The first is that I will continue to pronounce toilet as toilet. I have already founded a secret shadow organization, which will not stop until the entire world pronounces the word as toilet. We are called Toilet. Nobody can stop us. The second is that I am going to be live streaming a bit more. If you want to know when I'm live, you can follow me at OffTark on Twitch and at off_Tark on Twitter. You can find links to these on my channel page. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, you should subscribe to my channel. It would look great on your resume.